Welcome to Speech Talk Live, episode number 25. It's amazing. This is number 25. I can't believe it. We've gotten this far. And my name is Jay Oza, and I'm the host of this show. And today we have Julie Finkelstein, Atul Wankade, and Sajid Zachariah joining us. So we got a good number of people today. So we'll hope to have a very good show. And let me just take a brief pause and just thank all the people who made this possible. As I said, this is our 25th show. And, when you first start out, you don't know how it's going to go. You're just like, is this going to be one and done type of thing? But I don't think it is now that we have number 25 here. And I want to thank some people that have really helped out, especially the two people who have joined us today, Atul and Sajid. But I want to thank Julie, who I think has been on pretty much all of them, 25. So she's a pro. And Soumyan Tirumurthy from Bangalore. Yeah, you should take a high five there. Yes. Soumyan has been very helpful, and he has difficulty out of Bangalore. So I told him, listen, if you're having difficulty, then that's okay. Just send us your feedback by email when I ask him, and he's been very good at that. Otherwise, we really miss him. He's really good. Latesh Balakrishna also joins us, and he's been on several of our shows. And there was a woman who joined us for one show, Aruna, and she wants to join, but again, some of these people are busy and they have a family responsibility, so they can't join us. So I want to thank everybody who has been on the show, helping out and also participating, because it really means a lot to me, and I hope you're all getting something out of it. I think it is. I'm getting a lot out of it. So I'm based out of Hazlitt, New Jersey, which is about 50 miles from New York City. And the purpose of this show, I always start out by saying, are five reasons. Keeps increasing, but now I think I've fixed out in 5. So the number one is to learn. Public speaking is hard. Speaking in general is hard. It's very hard to engage and connect and influence. This is a lifelong thing. So learning is a key thing here. So we try to learn by doing it and also by watching other speakers and see what we can learn from. The second is teach. None of us are experts here, by the way. And just because I've been doing this now for 25 shows doesn't make me an expert in any sense at all. I may know a little bit more, maybe, sometimes. That may not even be the case. But you could always learn from others. So part of it is also teaching, because if you are on the show, that means you're trying to teach other people too. The third reason is share. We share speeches. I do a lot of videos and I share them, and that's how you get better. This is the show where you get feedback from people, and Sajid is a perfect example of it. He recorded his speech and he came on the show. He did his self-evaluation, and then we gave him a feedback, and as you can see, it didn't scare him. He's back again. So once you come on this show, we don't scare anybody so they don't come back. That hasn't happened yet. Then the other thing is practice. So just what I'm doing right now is a practice. This right now, well, theoretically, could be watched by 7 billion people. Anyway, I hope one day I can at least get 7. But the point is that every time you're speaking, this is a place where you get to practice. You got to raise the stakes. And lastly, I want to say is this is a support group. We support each other. So there's nobody should feel like they're being rejected or anything. Because if you can't do it, you should try to do it here, because if you can do it here, you can do it anywhere. So that's the general idea of what we try to accomplish on this show. So we got like these 5, goals on this show. Today's agenda, I have a theme around today, and I've taken speeches from 3, I think, very inspiring women: Lizzie Velasquez, Cameron Russell, and Monica Lewinsky, and they all have given TED Talks. So obviously, they are very good speakers. But what's so fascinating about this is that what makes their speeches so interesting to me, and I would like to find out what you guys think when we get to those segments, is that they are the message. They are essentially the message. That's what makes their speeches so powerful to me. When you look at Lizzie Velasquez, who has the syndrome, and she's really talking about who she is and how she's overcoming that. and defining herself. And then Cameron Russell, who made a choice early when she was a teenager to be a model, and now she's telling the good, bad, and ugly about what being a model is all about. And of course, Monica Lewinsky, most of us have heard about her. It's amazing that she was last in the news in 1998 about. And if you all remember, she had an affair with President Bill Clinton. And now again, she's now coming out and saying, hey, I want to take a charge of my narrative and define who I am. So there is a common theme that's across all these three speeches that I have taken, and I find them very inspiring. So that's the show, and I'm looking for some really good discussion. And at this point, I would like you all guys to do a quick intro, and then we'll move on to our 3-minute speech segment. Okay? Julie, why don't you go next?
Yes, thanks, Jay. Hi, Sajid and Atul, and welcome everybody on the show. I put it out there that someday Jay will be seen by 7 million. I'm a fellow mentor, but I'm unique in that I'm the only mentor who joined mentorship without having finished the class. I run a Google community called Introduction to Public Speaking. I'm happy to say I finished the class, so very, very good for me. And one of the things I do is I take notes for all the videos, and I post them on the Google community. And I post some of it into the discussion forum, but I really want to use the community as a repository for all the notes. So I'm going around this, I'm going to start again, and I'm going to be, hopefully I have a study buddy, hopefully we'll be discussing each of the units, videos, and you're all welcome to join, and then we'll be practicing hopefully, and that will be starting soon. So maybe there's another program, or maybe it's just joining Jay's 3 in 30 challenge. I may do that, but something will come as a next step to the class. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, Sajid, go ahead. Sajid, go ahead. We can't hear you, Sajid. So Atul, why don't you go next?
Hey, hi Jay, hi Julie, hi Sajid. So I'm Atul Wankhede. This is my first time coming on the show. I'm basically a software engineer working in Bellevue. I have been to States around like few years now. And yes, I'm hoping to learn a lot from Jay. I have seen previous episodes of this program, and really wanted to come and join this one and learn from Jay, Julie about all those interesting things that are going on to the show. So really excited to be here. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Atul. Sajid, see if you can hear you again. No, you may have to join us again because we're not able to hear you. Okay, you may have to get out and get back in again because somehow we're not able to hear you. Okay, so at this point we move on to our 3-minute speech segment, and what this is an opportunity for each of us to come prepared with something that we want to practice. So typically the way it goes is I go first, and so I'm going to tell you a little brief thing that occurred this week that you may find interesting. So I have a daughter who's like 22, and then I have a son who is a teenager. He just became a teenager, and it's so difficult for me to get him to go out and do exercise. And on weekends, I usually go for a walk to a park nearby, which is about 3.5 miles. And my wife always tells me, take my son with me, and my son doesn't want to come. He's just like, no, I'm not going. And then my wife will scream at him, and he finally relents, and then I have to take him. Now, he has no interest in going for a walk with me, but he has to come because otherwise, he doesn't want to his mom getting mad at him. And it's been a pain because, and then it creates a little friction between me and my wife because I don't want to wait for him. I just want to go for my walk, be done with, and my wife says, no, you can't go till he comes with you. So I'm now stuck. So I'm mad, he's mad, everybody's mad. Okay. So then this week, what happened was my son is in a marching band, and it's getting colder here now. And he needs an underlayer just so he can keep warm, different layers. So they recommended, the teacher, his band director said that most of the kids are wearing the Under Armour garment. Under Armour is a company here. And so I went to a Sports Authority nearby, and I went and purchased a top and the bottom. So we came home, and he tried it on, and he really liked it. You know, he just like, oh my God, this feels so good. I really like it. And he said to me, Dad, can I just leave this on for a while? I said, yeah, you can do your homework with your Under Armour garment. There's nothing wrong with that. And then he's like, you know, he goes upstairs and he comes down, and I bet what he did was he went and looked in the mirror, and he comes down and says, you know, Dad, I think I'm going to start working out from now on. So I was like, you know what, if I had known this earlier, that just putting on that Under Armour garment would get him motivated to work out, it would have saved me so much aggravation that now I don't have to even mention it. It kind of reminds me of a lot of women who go out and purchase these expensive yoga pants. And I guess initially they just like the way it makes them feel, and then probably after a while they say, hey, you know, I like the way it feels. I might even feel better. Let me just start doing yoga. So I can see that Under Armour. So if you have any children out there that you're having difficulty getting them to go out and do exercise, just invest something like $70. Get them these Under Armour top, like a shirt and a pants, and it really is very tight on them. And it defines their body. And if they don't like it, believe me, they're gonna work out because you can't hide anything when you wear these things. So try it. It may work. I think I'll let you know how this is working. But right now, he came to me and said that he's going to exercise. I didn't have to tell him anything. So we'll see what happens this weekend. All right, Julie, you're next.
Hi. Do you have a purpose in life? Do you have a goal that you want to do? I think we all have goals. Or do you know someone else who has a goal? And then can you imagine achieving that goal without speaking or talking or communicating about it? That's not likely, because I think we do have to communicate in order to show our ideas and achieve our goals. So I think communication is like an integral fabric of our lives. It puts all our components together, and we can't live our lives without communication. But are you afraid of speaking, public speaking? We human beings have fears, and fear is a part of our psyche. It's in our psyche. In fact, the fear of public speaking is a really big one. In the Buddha's Lavangatara Sutra, it's listed as one of the top 5 fears. So fear of dying, fear of illness, and fear of public speaking are like on the top 3. And so what I have found, and I want to share with you, is that taking this class, which we've done, is the beginning of the pivot into being successful in reaching your goals and being happy, because you can practice and participate in public speaking. And by doing that, you can realize your goals. When you do this public speaking class, for me anyways, I did not just learn to speak to public. As Jay always says, speaking is not public or private, there is only speaking. And furthermore, I will say that in communication, there's speaking and listening. And when you take the class, we learn to listen better because we learn to flow our messages, and we learn to speak better. But in addition to that, we learn to analyze, because we have to put the logic and the rhetorics together, and we learn to evaluate. When you participate, you learn all these skills that you need for your life, but in addition to that, you get to practice with other people. So social skills such as working in a team are there. I know one woman who cannot even go out for a job interview because she cannot breathe. And so her fear was so enormous that she could not live her life. She could not find a job. We share some of the basic skills with her. One is to breathe. And the second one is just to breathe. So that helps with anxiety, not just the anxiety of speaking in public, any anxiety. The other thing was to take a power pose, which you saw me do earlier. And so these skills that you develop that overcome fear, anxiety, are transferable to your other fears. By facing your fears, your other fears become lessened. Because fear is like a pane of glass. When you smash through it, it ripples through your other fears in your life, and then you can go ahead and face your life. And then, so in addition, when you participate in this class, because it is such a global environment, I have a friend who is, my study buddy is from Germany. I have Atul and Jay from around the world. And one time I had a woman from Sweden to join us. So by being exposed and having a chance to practice as what Jay would call a no-risk environment, we overcome our fears and we can become confident and comfortable in facing our fears, in speaking, and in realizing our goals. So I invite you to participate in this class, to practice, to come and join us, to manifest your purpose. For your purpose, find your courage and face the world by practicing in this class and live your life fully. Thank you.
Oh, that was excellent, Julie. I'm going to hire you as a salesman for this saleswoman for this class. That was we should have added you to the list of these 3 courageous women. We'll add Julie to that too. We'll have Lizzie Velasquez, Cameron Russell, Monica Lewinsky, and Julie Finkelstein. Okay. All right, Atul, you're next.
Okay, great. So first of all, yeah, thank you, Julie, for sending me the link for the session, and definitely that was very motivating talk that you just gave. So I'm Atul Wankhede. I am Indian, and I basically come from a small town from India called Akola, which is somewhere in central part of India. I did my undergrads from a VIT college from Pune University, which is like one of the top universities in India. It's after IITs. There I worked in India for a few years as a software engineer, and then had an opportunity to come to US. So I came to US in around 2006, and then I did my then I contracted for some time for Microsoft, and then now I'm working with another company, Expedia, in Bellevue. A family point of view, I have my wife and I have a kid, 4 years old kid. My hobbies include like playing cricket, reading books, and just soccer. One of the big advantage to be raised in India is that you at least know 3 languages. One is like our national language, Hindi. One is our native language, which could be depends on which state are you. If you are in Maharashtra, you will know Marathi. If you are in Karnataka, you'll know Kannada. And then one universal language, that is English. So I'm fortunate in that part. So I know 3 languages to communicate into. And yes, I always had this thing about public speaking that I can read books and I can learn how to speak in public and all those things. But just like you cannot learn swimming by sitting on the floor and watching people swim. You have to basically go and jump and do swimming, and that's how you learn. So similarly, I try reading some books, but looks like it's more like you have to come and talk in public, and that's how you build your skill of talking in public, getting rid of your fears or anxieties. And so I'm here on the show, hopefully trying to be a better person, better it's public speaking. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay, thanks a lot, Atul. That was good. That was excellent.
Thank you.
So now you have gone through your intro, so you're lock and loaded now.
Perfect.
So let me just say a few things. I don't know what's happening with Sajid. He's having some difficulty, but we're just going to continue here. I think what you said made a lot of sense there, that this is what we're realizing, that public speaking is not like any other course. I guess you can say that, but especially public speaking, where I tell people that in order to become a good public speaker, you have to do three things. You have to be a student, you have to be a teacher, and also you have to be a coach. Now, when we look at these professional speakers out there, even TED speakers, they get a lot of help. When they're giving that speech, they're not like just doing it all themselves and then coming and giving it. They're getting a lot of help before they get on. So when you watch these TED speakers, and someone told me that to give a TED speech, at least you have to spend close to 300 hours. Now, that's not practical for all of us, okay? That's just no way we're going to, unless we become a professional speaker, we may want to spend 300 hours for one speech. But the amount of time that goes into these speeches that you see on TED are just enormous amount of time that's required. So one of the things that I have recorded this week is something that I'm going to do, and I think it may help others too, is this thing that I'm calling the 330 challenge that Julie mentioned. And what this is pretty simple, that you just make a commitment today and do a 3-minute video for the next 30 days before even taking any courses or anything. At least that way you know where you stand, because if you do 300 videos, believe me, you are going to make some improvement. It has to happen. And after that, you can go in and see what you have recorded. Now, these are videos you don't want to record about, like, hey, look look what I'm eating for breakfast, or something that is not that serious. Like, you want to talk about some serious topic, could be related to work-related topic, could be some insight you have, some story you want to talk about, some humor, things that you want to practice, and do 30 of these. And I bet you at least 10 of them are going to be excellent. The other 10 could be good, and the other 10 are going to be bad, okay? And if you can get 10 of them that are excellent, and this is going to happen after you do 30, you'll find out that you'll be surprised that 10 of them are going to be really, really good. Like Julie just gave a talk just now about motivating people to participate. That would be an excellent speech if she does that, a 3-minute video like that today after this show is over, Julie. So that's your challenge. That right now you might think like, wow, that's not that good, but later on, after 30 days, you come back to it and say, wow, I can't believe that's me that that recorded that. So I would say that try that, and then you'll be in a better position to know where you stand. And one of the things, Atul, we did last week that somehow, I don't know what happened, the video got lost. Google somehow didn't record it. We went through these two segments. One was called a speaking athlete, and the other one was this method that I'm working on developing. I'm trying to perfect it. Not perfect may not be the right word. Trying to make it better. Something called the lean speech method. You probably have heard the term lean since you're in the software industry. So I will send you the videos of that, and you can take a look at that, because I think that public speaking is sometimes made too complicated, and I'm trying to simplify it. And one of the best way to simplify it is to just do a 3-minute video every day for the next 30 days, and I bet you if you do that, you'll be much better than you are today. Okay, any comments before we move on to our first segment?
No.
Okay, so let me just take a brief pause so that I'll introduce the next segment, okay? Okay, welcome to Speech Talk Live, episode 25. And we're moving to our first segment, and in this segment, we're going to review and discuss the speech that this woman, inspiring woman by the name of Lizzie Velasquez, gives at one of the TEDx event, and I really enjoy this speech, and for a number of reasons. We always look at a speech as like, oh, I have to really go in and really dazzle people with all kinds of this technique and that technique, and yeah, those are powerful speeches. But sometimes what makes a speech really powerful is the message. Message has to be there. It has to be dominant. And sometimes the message is not even the message, it's yourself. You are the message. And Lizzie Velasquez exemplifies that. She is the message. Here's a woman who has gone through a lot in her life. Yet on the stage, she's in complete control. It's almost like she owns that place. Yet when you look at all the things that she had to go through in her life where people are making all kinds of comment about, Lizzie, you have no right to live, you should just take a gun and shoot yourself, and how she has overcome all this and be such a beacon of hope there, like, hey, you know what? If I can do it, what's your excuse? And I was like really inspired after watching this, like, hey, what is my excuse? Like, here's a woman, who has disfigurement. She cannot see out of one eye. She cannot gain weight. She has this syndrome that only 2 people in the world have. Yet on the stage, she owns that stage. She's so powerful. She's so beautiful. And it's very inspiring because when you look at that, we worry about little things like, oh, my body language wasn't good, my this thing wasn't good, my voice could be better. But look, if you got a message, you have right to be on any stage. Doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, or what your ethnicity is. If you got a message and you're on the stage, you are right. You own it. You got to own that stage. And the way she describes her life, and essentially the speech is about her life. She's just talking about, and she's trying to motivate others. And I was motivated. That's how I judge the speech. I was motivated after seeing her speech. And her main message was that I'm not going to let other people define me. I'm going to define myself. And I'm not going to waste my time worrying about what other people say. And I thought that was a very inspiring message. And I really liked the speech a lot. And I wanted to get your feedback on what you thought of this speech. How did it affect you? Because I was moved. After watching that speech, I was really moved. And I watched it a few times, and I may go back and watch it a few more times. But the point that I want to leave here for those who are watching it and to you is that you got to get on top of your narrative. That's yours. You own it. Don't let other people tell you what your narrative should be. You define it. And that applies to us because we're all trying to become a better speaker. And some of the people are not even comfortable coming on this show. And you have to get over that fear. And if you don't, then all you're doing is you're limiting yourself because people out there are not the ones who are there to support you. You have to make that decision to define it and then take charge of your narrative. Julie, you want to go next?
Thank you. Yeah, sorry, I muted myself a little early. Yes, you're right. She is the message, and I like the message that you are connecting for the theme of the speech, which is you are the message and own your narrative. Her story was amazing, and she started off with that she was born without placenta, amnio fluids around her, and that she may die. And she started off with how her parents just said, we will love her, we will live with her. And they exemplified that for her, what she is exemplified for us. And she says, and she says people wrote her terrible emails, but she was raised with the self-perception that she's just like everybody else. And every time she got kicked down, her parents says, go out there, no pity, no coddling. And I admire that. I admire the parenting. I admire her speech to show the suffering and how she overcame that and how she pivoted some of the things people may think is a disadvantage into advantage. She says, I can't gain weight, so I can eat everything I want, you know. And the other thing was, I can only see in one eye, but I have one eye to see, and I appreciate my life, you know. And if I don't like you, I put you on the other side of my eye, you know. So she definitely lives her life. I think as a speech, it was great. The only thing I would say is like, as in music, it felt like a only major tone. She talked about uh, how people were rejecting her and how she overcame it and how her parent is. But I wish she would dwell a little bit more in the dark. Um, you know, like musics have major chords and minor chords, and the minor chords actually lifts up the whole music into a greater synthesis, right? So her speech is not my favorite, even though she's probably one of my favorite person. Of all the people I know, she could definitely be my role model. I just wish she would tap into her suffering a little bit more and share that. Um, so that's the only thing I would say for her speech. It was, of course, the intonation was great, the pacing was good, the breathing was good. The way she walked back and forth was excellent, and she really commanded the stage, as you said. So thank you.
Yeah, great. Atul, did you get a chance to watch that video and you have any comments?
I think I have no. I didn't get a chance to look at. I watched the Hillary Clinton one and not the. I missed the other two videos, but I have basically I have read articles about her, and I, I guess one of the article was about the ugliest woman in the world or something of that sort. And yeah, what I noticed and when I read the article, like I was like, how could people you know, say something about these things. And the other thing I noticed, like, if like say so many people are telling so bad about you, how do you go up and turn the tables on? Like, if I assume myself in her position or something like that, I would be basically, I might just commit suicide. I mean, so people were so harsh to her, and so I always wonder, like, where she's gathering all those strength and all this, the very positive attitudes toward life when so many people are, saying bad thing about her. So I really amazed to see, people's strength and people's, the way they look at their life and the way they have the attitude towards their life, and it's amazing. So yeah, that's my 2 cents there. Very inspirational.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
thanks.
thanks.
Oh,
Oh,
can you mute your
mute
mic,
your mic.
please? Oh yeah, yeah. So that's a good point, and yeah, she was known as the world's ugliest woman, and I think there was a quote that I have here that somebody like tweeted her or something or sent her a message that Lizzie, please do world a favor, just please do a world a favor, put a gun to your head and kill yourself. And what that says is that people can be very nasty, and they can be nasty like right from the time when you're young. Well, not that young, but people get nasty very quickly, and they don't get better as you get older either. People get even nastier. And of course, then there are people who are nice, and you got to seek them out. And I think the way I look at it is, and the reason I use her speech is because we all deal with this. And especially if you're coming on this show, you're out there. People can see you. This is a public thing. People can see you. Somebody's going to criticize, which I don't know why they would waste their time doing it. They should be spending time doing something rather than wasting time criticizing me or you or Julie, right? And the thing is that the critics are always going to be there. There are people who are going to not like anything you do, and it's more of a reflection on them than you. If you're doing something, you become kind of a threat to them, like, oh, I have to knock this person down because he's doing something and I can't or I don't want to. And I always say to people that if people criticize you, sometimes they're going to just come to you and say, hey, Atul, hey, Julie, hey, Jay, here's something you can do better. And I ask myself, well, are they actually doing it? Like, why would I want to listen to somebody that is not even doing it? Like if they're not writing blogs, why would I want to listen to them telling my blog sucks? Well, let me see your blog. Let me see how you do it. If they're not going to give you anything specific and saying, hey, here's something I am doing that you may want to look into. People don't even know how to criticize properly, okay? Not even a constructive criticism. And Julie's very good at giving constructive criticism, saying, here's what I would do if I were you. Here's something you may want to consider. That's useful. That's a useful type of a criticism where somebody's trying to help you. If somebody's not trying to help you but just put you down, then they're no use to you. You can just politely say, yes, I'll consider it, and just ignore it. So I think this Lizzie speech, I liked it a lot. And as far as her speech is concerned, I didn't look at anything because, see, I have this formula that I call 60-30-10. That in a speech, if your message is so compelling and you yourself are the message, then the rest of it is not going to be that important as far as when I'm judging a speech. I don't put a lot of weight on it. Like, was her body language this good, or was her voice really commanding and all that? Because sometimes yourself, if you are the message, that should dominate, that other parts should not really matter much. Now, in this class, we do look at other things. So in this class, it's okay to bring it up and discuss it if there was something she could have done, just for our own learning. But I didn't really pay attention on anything. And the other thing I'll point out that Julie mentioned is, this is quite effective, is she uses humor quite well in this speech. She has this air about like, hey, listen, I don't look like you, but I don't care, because I got something to say and I'm going to say it. And I just liked her attitude. Her attitude was very positive, that I don't want to dwell, like one of the things I'm going to have to a little differ from Julie on this is, I liked the way she didn't dwell too much on her past too much, like how bad I am and how good I am. It was almost like, hey, listen, I'm just going to give you a little bit, but that's not what my life is all about. I want to talk about the future, how I've overcome it. And I think that was very effective. If this was more about, hey, look at all these different examples of how I've been, treated badly by people, it might have helped her be more emotional, but I'm not sure it would have been that uplifting to people that are watching it. So that was my thought on that, that's the decision. That's a choice she made, and I respect that choice. And sometimes, in any speech we give, you have to make a choice. There's nothing that, it's your choice, and you have to make it, and I thought that was a good choice as far as I was concerned. Julie, any closing thoughts before, and Atul, closing thoughts before we move on to our next segment?
Go ahead.
No, I don't have any.
Yeah, I want to acknowledge that, yeah, it was a positive in orientation, and a lot of people will help that, and I can certainly appreciate that. And I acknowledge that it's a choice. When we make speeches, we have to make choices. And those are the choices she make, and obviously she's top level. She's making this speech, and she's a coach. That was her life goal. So it's just a personal choice, and I'm not. Some of it I'm just sharing a different perspective, and I appreciate the forum to do that. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that's good. And one thing I'll point out is that this video has been watched or clicked 11 million times. So this is one of the top TED Talks out there. I mean, she's got 10 million, and I can appreciate that because I hardly get 10. So when I see 11 million to my 10, I mean, she's at least 10 million times. Her speeches are her videos 10 million times better than mine, I guess, if you go by that metrics. So who am I to complain? Who am I to tell Lizzie, here's what you should do, Lizzie? I can speak better than you. So Lizzie, any tips you have for us? Let us know, because
come on, Jay. You never stopped you before.
so Lizzie, if you're watching this, we need some help here. All right. So I think at this point I'm going to take a pause and move to our next segment. Okay, welcome to Speech Talk Live, episode 25. And this is segment number 2. And here we are going to review and discuss a speech that was given by a fashion model by the name of Cameron Russell. And she gave a TEDx talk that has been viewed or has been clicked approximately it's 6.6 million. So this makes it one of the, obviously once you get into, I've heard if you get above 1,000, that's considered excellent. So here you have 6.6 million hits. And she has also a compelling story to tell here. And again, here's a courageous young woman who is in the modeling industry, and her message is very simple. Basically, she wants to tell young girls the good, the bad, and the ugly side of modeling. And I think she did an excellent job doing that. I'm not sure she was an outstanding speaker per se, and she's young. You can tell she's not experienced in speaking. That's not her forte. Her forte is modeling. But I liked her authenticity and her message, and she was the message, and that's what made this speech powerful to me. That here's somebody who comes on looking like what people expect a supermodel to look like, and then she transitions into a woman who is like a mature woman who's trying to convey a message to others. Especially, I think her target here was, I think everybody, but primarily she's trying to let these young girls know who tend to get kind of impressed by the glamour that they see in these magazines. They want that kind of lifestyle. And she's giving them the reality. Like, she somehow got into it at a young age, 16, and she can't get out of it. And that's what happens a lot of times. Sometimes these choices you make in life, they kind of haunt you for the rest of your life. In her case, she was kind of taken in by the whole modeling industry, and she was scouted, and they said, hey, if somebody tells you you're like a model, I'm pretty sure for a young girl, and let me just tell you a little bit, her mother is a very famous woman, okay? Her mother she was a CEO and a founder of a company called Zipcar. So she comes from a very privileged background. And her parents are both entrepreneurs. She has an Ivy League education. She's from Columbia. And her mother is like a very smart woman, educated, and she went to MIT and Harvard Business School, and she founded this company, Zipcar. So Cameron comes from a very privileged background. But the privilege that she's talking about that allowed her to get into modeling is that she's white and really good looking, and that alone gives you a tremendous advantage. She said she won the genetic lottery, and she's trying to tell these girls that getting into modeling is not that easy. And I mean, the message is really good. The question is, how will young women or young girls will receive this message? Because our culture tends to project this image of what you should be like, which is so unrealistic. And I think she did a good job telling us that a lot of these things that you see are construction. That's not who I am. And the question is that these type of speeches are necessary to let people know, because these marketing people they want to project this image that is it's impossible to attain. And she kind of tells you the good side and the part that you don't see. The part you see makes her look glamorous, something that she's not, but that's how people see her. The part that you don't see about her is the insecurity she feels, like, should I eat this or should I not eat this? There's all these decisions these models have to make every day, because if they don't weigh a certain amount, if they don't look in a certain way, then they can't get the fashion contract. It's really a tough life that most people are not aware of. And then what you do see is not who they really are. So her message, I thought, was very important, and I think everybody should watch it, because it not only applies to modeling, it could apply to athletes. Some of these athletes are superstars, and all these young boys want to become like these athletes, and it's not that easy. Very few people can make it into the NFL or NBA or ML, Major League Baseball. It's a very small percentage. Even in India, in cricket, it's not that easy to become one of the top cricket stars. So the kids end up spending a lot of times, and they could be doing something else, as she points out, like academics and stuff like that. So I thought she had a very good message, and again, her message was pretty similar in a way to what Lizzie Velasquez was saying, that you got to define yourself. Don't get defined by these fashion magazines or these TV shows on what you should look like or wear. You got to take charge of who you are, and that's what's going to help you throughout life, so that you're not in one sense, you're projecting this image, and inside you're very insecure. So I thought she did a great job in this speech. Julie, what did you think of it?
Thanks, Jay. Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting speech. It was thoughtful. It sounded like she is. I didn't realize that she has such a huge privilege and intellectual background. I thought the message was basically, like you said, telling young girls that beauty is only skin deep. I think she said beauty is superficial. And she talked about, she deconstructed some of the glamour from the modeling. At one point, she used this example. You know, look like you're greeting a friend. And she says, I've been doing this for 300 times. And there wasn't much things glamorous about that. The underbelly of modeling was the insecurity, and also that it's not who she is. You know, she showed pictures of, I guess that she showed pictures of the image the world projected, and then what she was really doing. And she showed a really, really sexy picture. And she said, at that time, I didn't even have my period. You know, for a woman to say that, that is very deeply personal. And then she showed one picture. She says, now that I look like that, I'm not considered for jobs as in politicians or whatever. The underlying theory that is, yeah, you're adored and you're considered beautiful, but you're no longer taken seriously as an intellectual. I appreciate what you say, that it's about taking back your own narrative. I think for me, the message I got from her was she was ambivalent about it. Yeah, she says she took advantage of this legacy of genetic lottery. And then she gave one statistic I forgot about how young men, especially of Black origin, do not have certain opportunities. It was a very poignant and significant statistics, but she didn't really leverage that, you know. I think she has other ideas. And I think she said at the end that she's glad that she came and delivered the message at this point in her career, because, and she talked about the insincerity of that, right? If you ask a model, they'll say, oh, I travel around the world, I meet interesting people, but really it's a constructed self that travels around the world, not the authentic self. And then she ended the speech with, I'm glad I'm giving you this speech now, because maybe when I'm older, I may give you the manufactured speech, you know. So it sounds like she's still in the grip of this modeling industry, and she's only having an opportunity to take a breather. And I would like to see how her life transforms. The message was poignant for me because of what she said. Here's all these things, here's all these things, here's the disconnect between who I am and how you see me. And I'm glad I'm here to tell you this now, because later in my career, I might not be able to tell you this. So there's a sense of sadness to it. And it sounds like she's not quite ready to take control of her life and her narrative. So I wish her well. That's my...
Okay, that's excellent. Excellent feedback there. Atul, do you have any comments on this?
Just that, yeah, I think it's a very eye-opening speech for, all those basically girls who really see only modeling as, they see the end product. Like because our marketing industry said that a fair skin is always beautiful kind of thing that is getting marketed every now and then. And so it's kind of made an image that, okay, such and such person is beautiful and all those things. After listening to the speech, it makes the young girls or generation know that modeling is not something that has actually what they show. It's what is the process. The person is different, and what the image that is shown is totally different. So it's kind of thing that to be taken from the speech. And the other thing is, we don't see the hardship that has gone in making that person. For example, if you can relate to like top star like cricketer Sachin Tendulkar, we see that end product mostly, and we don't see what is the how much efforts that person has put in. That is not shown. Basically, what is exactly what we see or what is that is shown is, oh, he's the top, but we haven't seen the how much efforts he has put in to reach that levels, just like Michael Jordan and so forth. So this is also kind of I can take from her speech that showing is different and what actually is it might be different.
Yeah, that's a good point. And like one of the things I like to point out is like, see, like right now, this show, we're pretty raw, right? Like I have no makeup on. I mean, this jacket, that's mine. At some point down the line, I don't know, I might get a contract from some major outfit like Brooks Brothers or something. I don't know. I forgot. I don't even know who the men's fashion outlets are. Gucci, maybe? I don't know. Uh, I Yeah, this is a stretch. Better stop because I can't think of. Calvin Klein. There you go. Could be Calvin Klein. So I don't have a contract. So this is mine. This is from Joseph A. Bank, by the way. The real. It works, right? Looks good, right? Does it look good? And also, I don't have any hair plans planned at some point. So we're pretty raw. Like I don't have like nice jazzy video or any kind of things that make me look like I'm much bigger than what I am. And that's what you see sometimes on TV. Like when you see these people come on TV, that's not who they are. Like there's a book by an Indian author named Manu Joseph. He wrote a book called Serious Men. And he said something interesting, that if you watch somebody too closely, they're not going to look that good. And I always like that line, that, I think in the book he talks about Aishwarya Rai, that if you look at her closely for a long time, she's not going to look that pretty. So keep that in mind. And that everybody, if you look at them long enough, they're not going to look that good. But the one thing about her speech that I want to comment on is, and I think Julie kind of mentioned this, she's a young woman, by the way. I don't know when she gave the speech, 2 years ago. I looked at her age. She's only 28 right now. And when she gave the speech, she was probably maybe in her mid-20s. That's pretty young, right? And she's not a person who gives a lot of speeches. And it took a lot of courage for her to speak out. There are a lot of models out there who don't speak out. And here, this woman is showing depth that, hey, even though I am in this field, but don't think that I don't know what's going on. And I think that speaks a lot about her character, that yes, I'm a model, but because this is the field that I've chosen, but I need to be very honest with you. I need to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of this field. And a lot of things that I'm getting is because I had nothing to do with it. I mean, she works hard. Let's just one thing. Models do work hard, so let's not make them look like they're just getting money for looking good. They have to do a lot of that stuff that she was talking about, like jumping around, making look like she's having conversation, grab some guy's hair, and things like that. That's, after a while, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're getting paid, you'll do just about anything. But it's not really that glamorous to be doing that. What you're seeing glamour is the finished product, right? And she talks about all the people that had a role in it for her to look like the way she does when you see her in magazine covers or inside advertising some product. I think she's like an underwear model. So I like that here's the woman that's taking a stand and letting people know that just because I'm doing it doesn't mean that I completely accept it. It's the field that I've chosen, but I need to be upfront and be honest with you on tell you what it's really like so that you can make your choice intelligently. And at the same time, she's speaking out on some of the injustices that she sees because people did not win the genetic lottery, as Julie mentioned about African American males who get stopped. It's not the question of if they'll get stopped. It's like how many times they'll get stopped, and she points that out. So it shows that this woman is very much in touch with her world. She's not just saying, hey, I'm glamorous, I'm fine, screw everybody else. That's not the attitude that I see here. I see somebody here who really wants to make a difference in other people's lives. So I thought that she did a very good job at that. Julie, any closing thoughts?
Thanks. No, I appreciate your summary. You're muted, Jay.
Okay, I'm back. So mute your line and I'll get to the next segment. Thanks. Okay, welcome to Speech Talk Live, episode 25, segment number 3. In this segment, we're going to review and discuss a speech that was given at the TED event, I think was this year, March, by Monica Lewinsky. Now, for those who are watching this and not familiar with who Monica Lewinsky is, Monica Lewinsky, of course, gained fame in the late 90s when she had an affair with, at that time, President Bill Clinton. And we haven't really heard about Monica Lewinsky. I mean, she's been in the news, as she mentions in her speech, that she's in like 40 rap songs, probably not in a positive manner, but mostly in a negative manner. And she finally started to speak out about her experience. And this was her kind of, like, she gave a speech earlier. I think she gave an interview in Vanity Fair or something, but this was her major kind of coming out saying, hey, I got to take charge of who I am. I'm not going to let other people define me any longer, that I am this slut, this, that. Yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I was young. I was 22. I fell in love with my boss, Bill Clinton. But I don't deserve what I've gotten, okay? I made a mistake, and people essentially, I was like patient zero as far as cyberbullying is concerned, that, you know, I was essentially bullied. My story essentially came out on the internet, and prior to that, nobody was even talking about that. And then she goes into some examples, like the one that I'm quite familiar with is the one she mentions as Tyler Clementi. I went to Rutgers, and you know, I exactly know the dorm that this incident took place in, and since I live in New Jersey, this was a big story. And I remember the following year, my daughter entered Rutgers, and when we had this orientation, they spent a lot of time explaining to parents who are concerned about these type of bullying things that were going on. And the university let the parents know that we have all ways to it. In fact, I don't remember when I had my orientation, there wasn't anything extensive like what these students have to go through now. They have to actually spend 3 days during summer, and one day it's with the parents are basically given lectures by security, all of sorts of things. I don't remember my parents having to go through that when I entered college, but Tyler Clementi was a huge story. Here's a person who was bullied by his roommate, and he ended up committing suicide. So she has a very important message, and it's important because it's coming from the person who actually experienced it firsthand. When she at that time nobody really was even talking about it, and she had to kind of deal with it on herself. And if you watch the speech, I didn't even realize it that she's 41 now. When you think of Monica Lewinsky, you always think of her as that 21-year-old or 22-year-old young woman with a beret on. That's how I always remember her, because that's how everybody remembers her. And here she comes across as a very smart woman, very courageous woman, a woman who really now looks like is on top of her game, saying, hey, listen, I'm not going to let the past deter me from who I am. And if you look at this, she's nervous when it comes to speaking. Obviously, she hasn't done a lot of speaking. And that's one of the things that TED does. TED invites people, and they coach them heavily so that they can, because they have a very compelling message to deliver. And she does, because everybody knows who Monica Lewinsky is. But nobody has heard from her. Nobody knows anything about her except what you read in the magazines or watch on TV, gossip shows, etc. And here was TED giving her the stage, saying, Monica, this is your stage. Tell who you are, and let people know how you feel and how you can help them. And she's nervous, you know, and she has a lectern. I think at some point she had to turn to notes, which is not something that you see on TED. TED usually you have to speak pretty much without notes. And at the last, I thought that her most effective part of her speech was the last 2 minutes when she kind of walks away from the lectern and speaks directly from her heart. I thought that was very effective. I had to watch that over and over again, because that's when you can really start seeing, you can really connect with her. prior to that, she gives you a lot of facts, a lot of things about her history, this and that, and she even shows humor in the beginning, and I thought that was quite effective. And then it just the speech kind of labors along for the next 15 minutes, and then at the end, the last 2 minutes, she really speaks directly from her heart because she doesn't need a lecture, and saying at this point, you know what, I finished the speech. Now I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. And I thought that was pretty effective. I don't know if that was rehearsed or not, but I thought that was very effective. Julie, any thoughts on this speech by Monica Lewinsky?
Yeah, Jay, how many clicks did Monica Lewinsky get? Can't hear you.
I think it's about 3 million.
3 million. Well, she still has more time.
Yeah.
This to me was the by far most powerful speech of the three. Of course, she spoke longer. She spoke about 20 minutes. You know, and I thought she was very brave, and that the topic she picked was actually very huge. She basically said she was very skillful in relating the scandal, and the way she handled it was she said someone hit on her and wanted to bring her back to she was 22. So like the maelstrom of the event that totally changed her life, she brought us right into the center of it without even mentioning what it was. I thought that was a very powerful way of connecting the audience to the story. And then she started talking about her experiences. The basic message I got was she was in the beginning of a revolution, the internet revolution. And in that experience, she was kind of in the wild, wild west of internet where there were no boundaries. And so she was humiliated. And she talked about the cause of suffering of cyberbullying. But then she kind of, I thought she was both powerful and practical because she right away brought us back to all this suffering is about money. People are making profit off it. And so she wasn't cynical, but she was really like right on the, not just how emotional it is, but how everything flows in this world. And then she's actually inviting us into a new revolution, right? She says, we need to get away from cyberbullying, look at the profit. We need to have consent and compassion. And she actually quoted one of our favorite speakers, right, Brene Brown. She said, shame cannot survive with empathy. And also she mentioned that there's a difference between speaking to get attention and speaking with intention. So she's actually trying to bring the whole culture of bullying, which is, let's just say it's childish behavior, into a mature dialogue. And she's asking us to do it each by each. And then finally, she addressed the cynics out there and says, many of you will ask me why I'm doing the obvious question. The obvious idea is that she didn't say it, she just said, the obvious answer is politics, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because it's time for me to take back my own narrative, to take control for my life. And I thought she was very convincing. She was visionary. She used her life experiences to frame the larger social context. And I personally felt sad, a bit of a loss, because I thought of the potential politician she could have been. She could have been a passionate, authentic Hillary Clinton without the baggage, you know, and she lost that potential. So I hope that she does get into politics, and not only does she take back her narrative, but redirect the narrative of this whole global culture called internet.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, she's only 41, so she's not like that old that she can't get into politics. But I think I think what she wants to do right now is to just help other people, because this is a problem that's not likely to go away, real soon. Because cyberbullying seems to be getting worse, and it has some tragic consequences, as she mentioned about this Tyler Clemente and others that she didn't get a chance to. Because as you mentioned, the speech was kind of long. If there's one criticism I have about that speech is that I'm not sure that speech needed to be 22 minutes. I think she could have said everything in 15 minutes. And the other criticism I would have is that, and again, this is not a criticism, but it's again based on her comfort level, that this should have been more of a conversation. The speech came across as really well written, and whereas Lizzie Velasquez's speech and the Cameron Russell speech were, especially Lizzie Velasquez's speech, was very conversational. She was having a conversation and interacting with the audience. Monica Lewinsky does that, but it didn't come across to me naturally the way Lizzie Velasquez did. Anyway, but again, those are minor criticism. I wouldn't really make a big deal about that. I tend to like the conversational nature of speaking, and her speech seemed like was really well written. That's something I would like to read. Atul, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, excellent speech. Definitely, when all this thing happened, it was a different era of internet, and as we know, that cyberbullying is now like very common and it's getting worse. What takeaway from her talk is like how can we avoid cyberbullying? Nowadays, we have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have all these social media thing, Twitter. Uh, uh, what we can do after listening to that, so that we can, avoid cyberbullying somebody, like we can stop sharing something. If somebody is doing something, we can stop. Why propagate bad stuff about some person? I think we can limit that thing, so as to minimize the impact, or spreading something that is, that there is this Socrates 3 principle, whether what about the information, that whether the information is true, whether the information is good, and whether that information can make is something useful for me. So if you like the 3 filter approach that we can apply to things like this, probably might help us in future, because with more internet, with more people, millions of users going in an internet way, it will be very we have to make this place like a sanity place, like where we are aware of what we are doing, rather than blindly sharing, or blindly accusing something, or propagating wrong stuff. So yeah, that's my takeaway from her talk.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points there. Um, yeah, I think you have to give her a lot of credit for being courageous. And one thing she does mention is that this thing happened to her, and I think one of the things that was very effective, I thought, that she doesn't hide from her past. And a lot of times people are afraid to deal with their past. And what this speech kind of showed to me is that people make mistakes. We make mistakes. And at some point you have to confront your past, but don't let the past define you. And I thought she did that extremely well. She tackles that head on, saying, look, I fell in love with my boss, and even to this day, I was hit upon by some 27-year-old guys, and how I can make you feel like you're 22 again. And that's one age she doesn't want to go back to, right? And she makes a light of that, which tells me she's overcome that. And sometimes if you can't joke about your past, no matter how bad it is, that means you're still dwelling on it. And I always tell people that if something bad happens, okay, you're going to be hurt for a while. If you can't come back and joke about it, then you haven't overcome it. I don't care how bad it is. And that's why sometimes we joke about death and all that, and you need to do that, because if you can't joke about something, that means you're still dwelling on it. And life happens; it has happened to everybody, right? And you have to move on. And I thought she did that well. She brought it up right at the beginning. and then she's explaining what it means, and then she's saying, you know, how she's made that transition to the future, the current, the present. And I think for people out there who have been bullied or who have been shamed by others for something they may have done, maybe had a, you know, a child out of wedlock or whatever, made a mistake when they were young, maybe got arrested for drugs or something, that shouldn't be define you for the rest of your life. Just acknowledge it, and even if you need to joke about it, just have a, not joke about it like aha, just have a humor around it, that, you know, it happened, yeah, I made a mistake, but I'm now moving on, and that's who I am now. And I thought that was very effective and inspiring as far as I'm concerned watching this speech. Julie, any closing thoughts?
Yes, I appreciate what you said about you can't pretend the past doesn't exist, but you can't let it limit you. So face the past and move on. There may be healing work or whatever. This was by far my favorite speech because I think there was levity, there was a emotional and social implications. So I really appreciate the amount of concentration maybe in this 20 minutes. So maybe that's what you mean that that it was a very well written speech. I found that 20 minutes is not too long to listen to it, my personal experience. And interestingly, like when we meditate, 20 minutes is one of the milestones that you can actually beginning to deepen into your experience. So I like to think that maybe it's not an accident that the speech was 20 minutes, because she was, I think, getting a little bit deep. She was getting quite much deeper than the two previous speakers.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This was this speech was much. The other two speeches were personal. The message was very direct. It wasn't a complicated message. With Lewinsky's speech, her speech had to bring about other examples and show the consequences for not doing something about it, that this is a real problem. And you're right, because perhaps that's the reason why the speech had to be a little longer. She had to kind of set the background of what's going on and and interweave it with her own personal story. The reason I mentioned that 22, because typically TED Talks are generally no longer than 18 minutes, and this one was almost 3.5 minutes longer than a longest TED Talk. So that's why I just pointed that out, that that could she have done this speech like in 15 to, like I said, it's not a big deal. It's just something that that could have been improved if there was any. And I think, like I said, this is a speech that she's giving after a long time, and it was sort of like her reintroduction, because the past she was introduced without her introducing herself. And now she's in charge of introducing herself on who she really is. And that's why I think she needed to make the speech a little longer, because she's not just introducing herself as, hey, I'm that woman, but I'm that woman, but now I'm a different woman. And I thought that was very effective in the way she did that. Atul, I don't see, are you still there? Do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I'm good. You guys covered excellent.
Okay, great. Yeah, I want to thank everybody, and again, like if you watch this speech, it kind of applies to what we do. As you know, we all want to become a better speaker, and all of us are going to be giving speeches, and you know, sometimes our speeches are going to be good, sometimes they're not going to be good. You know, we can only do what we can to prepare ahead of time, but you know, the thing is that even if it doesn't go well, don't beat yourself up. You know, there is always tomorrow. But don't let that deter you from giving another speech, because sometimes the audience may not be right. Sometimes, you know, you may not have had a good day. And one of the things that I just realized that is that you need a body of work. So, and I think, Julie, you just said that you just posted your persuasive speech. And don't let that be the end, because public speaking, like coming on this show, coming on recording it. So one thing that I mentioned earlier is that keep recording. If you got an insight on something, like Atul, you're in the software engineer, so you probably have a lot of different ideas about software. Make a 3-minute recording on some things about software and let the people know. And again, don't be afraid if people are going to criticize you, because you know what? People are going to criticize you no more. That's the way it goes. So when you take risks, you got to expect that part of it, that people are going to criticize you. Otherwise, you can just remain quiet and nobody will ever criticize you. So once you put your head out there, people are going to take shot at you. You just have to learn how to get used to it. Julie, you talked about that. What do you think? Because that's one of the things. Like a lot of people don't join this show because they just. I get emails saying, "Hey, I'd like to join, but I don't want to be. I don't want this to be public." And I said, no, it has to be public, because otherwise you can't always hide behind something and say, I don't want people to criticize me. And I said, then you're not. You got to take risks. That's part of being courageous. That people are going to criticize you. It's how you handle it that makes a difference. Julie, do you have any closing thoughts on that? Because I think you talk about this quite a bit. And also, you deal with people who have tremendous amount of fear, and how are you trying to help them?
Thanks, Jay. So, yeah, to me, criticism is always there. It's not what the other people criticize me. It's when I criticize myself, So, I think your point is sometimes the criticism has constructive information and sometimes they don't. And I think it's up to us it's our choice, as you had said about Lizzie. What I find is that when you practice, you become more resilient, and when you look at the life cycle of anything, of success or life cycle of achieving your goal, a failure is a component. One of the interesting books that you and I both read was called The Talent Code, and talks about being strategic in how you fail. In fact, you can success faster if you practice at the point of failure, And Winston Churchill, when he made that speech, he was actually all his famous war speech that launched the Second World War, the attack against Germany. He said, I spent 20 years preparing myself for this speech. So to me, ability and talent is useless unless you have the resilience and the dedication to walk the path and take the failures and eat them and grow from them. In Hawaii, there's a food called poi, P-O-I. If you eat it raw, it will kill you because the crystals. But if you cook it, you eat it, it's the most nutritious food around. So to me, failure is kind of like that. You have to eat it, you have to cook it and eat it, and it will be the source of your success.
Jay, you are muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. We're about to end the show. Do you have any parting thoughts on how this went, and what was your experience?
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I like the show, and definitely a lot of things to take from the show. Definitely, I'll be participating in all the shows. I'll try. And yes, great show. I mean, great efforts by you, Jay and Julie. Definitely very good.
All right, Atul, we appreciate you taking time out and joining. I know you have to. You're in the West Coast. You have to get up early to get on this show. But we appreciate the time you took for preparing, and even so. Next time, we're going to expect a lot from you. Okay?
Definitely. Yes, sure.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much, and enjoy your weekend. And we may not do a show next week. I have to decide. Okay? But otherwise, enjoy your weekend. And again, thanks a lot for joining.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Julie. Bye, bye. See you. Have a good weekend.
Bye.